I recently posted my Halloween decor tour on my Nicole Northgarden Home and Garden channel and got some questions about a DIY that showed up in the home tour. I did that DIY before I had a DIY channel, so I thought I'd go ahead and post the video here. So these are two of my favorites from last year's Halloween DIYs. For this first project, I was inspired by this sign I saw at Joann's Fabrics. The one at Joann's was kind of large. It was about 15 by 11. Which in my house, I don't have a lot of wall space, so it was too big for me to make use of. Plus, I knew I had a whole bunch of stuff from Dollar Tree that I could use to make something similar. So I decided I would make my own. For this project, you need a frame. I liked the size of this frame, and it came with this striped backing. If you can't find this exact frame, you can always just get a regular frame and use scrapbook paper or fabric as the background. I also removed that little picture clip that you saw. Then I had previously bought all these wooden shapes when I first saw them this season, which I usually do at Dollar Tree. I'll stock up on their craft supplies when I know something might be useful. And also from my craft supplies, I have paint and a paintbrush and a lid that I use to put my paint on. And I did come in later with some orange paint as well. So the first thing I do is just go ahead and paint my witches' hats. Actually, I only had to paint one witch's hat. The other one was already painted. And then I also painted some of the bats. This video is part of the Flippin Friday collaboration hosted by Jamie from Border Bananas. I'll link her channel and the playlist in my description box below. Once the bats were painted, I got my jack-o'-lanterns out, and I did decide not to paint the larger one because I was trying to go for the effect in the original inspiration sign, but you definitely could paint these if you wanted to. And later on you'll see I do actually come back and paint that little jack-o'-lantern orange, but at first I wasn't going to. I took my glue gun and attached the witch's hat to the jack-o'-lantern, and then I attached that to the frame. And then I started laying out some of the other pieces that I would use in the larger part of the frame. I decided to use this Beware sign. I actually picked this up at the bins. I'm pretty sure it came from Dollar Tree at some point, but I decided to take all of the things that were dangling from it off and just use the word Beware instead of the Happy Halloween that was on the original, just because I didn't have anything that said Happy Halloween. Once I had removed everything from the Beware sign, I went ahead and started gluing things onto the larger part of the sign. Once all the elements were attached to the sign, I decided I really wanted a pop of orange. So I got some of my orange craft paint and I decided I would paint the one little jack-o'-lantern orange. The orange paint I had was really bright, so I just mixed in a dot of black to tone it down, and then I painted. And of course, this is just a personal preference. You could leave them all wood or you could paint them both. It's really up to you, but that's how I decided to do my sign. And once I had that jack-o'-lantern painted, I still wanted a little more orange on the top, so I decided to put a little orange bow. So I used this bias tape that I had picked up at a yard sale this summer, and it turns out that the pieces were really short but wide, so I cut a strip in half to make a longer strip so that I'd have enough to tie a bow. So I went ahead and tied a simple shoelace bow. And then I trimmed off the edges just so they would look nice, and I attached the bow to the Beware sign with some hot glue. And here is the finished product. I really like it. This next project, I wanted to use some Christmas balls that I had collected and some that I got from Amazon to make a Halloween wreath. I've seen things like this on Pinterest and Etsy, and they're usually really expensive, so I figured I could definitely make one for cheaper. For this project, you need one of these small wire wreath forms from the Dollar Tree and Christmas balls. I found all of these purple and silver ones at a rummage sale. And then these black and orange ones I did order from Amazon for this purpose. But I am sure that given enough time, I probably could have found some in those colors as well, but I didn't have time. So I attached my first orange ball, and then I realized it would be a lot simpler to take all of the tops off of the ornaments first. So that's what I started to do. I just pulled off all of the little gold and silver pieces from the tops of the ornaments and made myself a big pile of ornaments that I could work with. And that made things go a lot quicker when I started actually gluing the Christmas balls to the wreath form. You'll see I did need to use my pliers for the purple ones because they didn't have strings in them, so there was nothing really to grab to, but the pliers worked just fine. Once I had a big pile of ornaments prepared, I just started gluing them on. So the way I glued them, I used my hot glue, and I would put a ring of glue around the little nub where the hanger had been, and I put that into the wreath form, and then I would glue the ball to the balls around it, and that's what gave it its stability. And obviously I'm speeding up the footage for you, but I will tell you this took a little while. I would say getting all the balls glued on probably took me between 30 and 40 minutes. So if you're looking for a quickie craft, this is not the one to do. Once the first base layer of ornaments was attached, I came in with some of the smaller ornaments, and actually I wound up then using some of the larger ones too, to do a second layer and to build it up a little bit and to cover any empty spaces where the wire wreath form was showing through. And you'll notice that I had that pumpkin sitting on the side. I did that. I really thought I was going to put it on the wreath because that's how it had been in the inspiration piece that I saw. But in the end, I actually wound up gluing the jack-o'-lantern in the center. So I did go back and fill in that little area with Christmas balls as well. Once I figured out where I wanted it, I used hot glue to attach the little jack-o'-lantern to the back center of the wreath. And here's what the wreath looked like finished. Although it wasn't yet really finished because I wanted to put it on a stand for use in my Halloween displays. So I painted a dowel black, and I let it dry in one of my nifty flower frogs. And then I took this candle holder and I shoved some floral foam into that. And you just kind of like let the candle holder cut it itself. It just kind of, and then take the excess away. And then I glued the black dowel to the back of the wreath and stuck it into the candle form. And now it's a finished product. And that's all that I have for you today. I hope you've enjoyed seeing how I made these two DIYs for Halloween using items from the Dollar Tree and some other things that I acquired at thrift stores and rummage sales. If you like this kind of content, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel. And of course, you can always find me on Instagram at Nicole Northgarden. Thanks for watching.